Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back for our final Lynx coding lesson. We're going to be moving fairly quickly through lessons 4, 5, and 6 because we've really got our basic foundational skills working with Lynx coding already, and we're going to really start focusing on adding in some of the cool features that you can do. So right off the bat, it says we are now going to build our story. So when we think about where we're at in our project, I'm going to jump over to my projects and I'm going to move down to my test one that we're using for these purposes. And I'm going to click on edit because I want to be able to work with it. And here we go. So at this point, you'll notice I've got my background, I've got my characters, I've got my movement and so on. But what I don't have is I only have one page. You'll notice up here it says page 1. Really, what I want to do is I want to create multiple levels now. I want to be able to move from page to page to page, just like in a real book. So how do I do that? Well, pretty simple, actually. It says, first of all, within my plus symbols, I can click page. And you'll notice I have this blank screen, and over here it changed to page 2. And so I have now a second page that I can work off of. And if I use my chevrons will actually take me back and forth. And for me, that's going to be the easiest way to do it, is I'm going to click between those two. So at this point, let's take a look at our window here, see some of the things that we've got. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with, let's start with some backgrounds here. I'm going to go to my sample clip art. Whoops. Do that again. And let's jump down. And I think maybe what we'll do is we're going to use, let's use 50. So first thing I need to do is you'll notice I'm missing a turtle. So I want to add my turtle in there. And now I'm ready to start adding my features in for my second page. So we're going to go set shape. And I think I'm going to use 50 in this case. And there's my shape. You'll notice again, just a reminder, it's moving around on me. So I'm going to use stamp. Let's go to set shape. And I think in this one, I'm going to use my turtle. I'm going to use this turtle here. I'm going to go to 38. And you'll notice I now have turtle. My house isn't moving. My turtle is moving. And so I'm ready there. And I think we're ready to move on. And if I go back, you'll see I've got page 1, I've got page 2. Now, it says at this point, however, that I'm going to need to add some features in where people are going to be able to access this because they're not going to have access to the chevrons. So what I need to do here is I'm actually going to put in some more procedures. So the procedures that they're telling me to put in is we're going to go to 2 second page 2n. So 2, remember, means it's a command. Making sure that I put this in properly. 2 second page 2 end. And let's go to first page 1 end. So now I've got some more commands that I'm going to be able to use that I've added into my library. This is going to become really important in order to be able to navigate between the pages. So now we're going to move on. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a button. And so off of that button, again, I'm going to go to my plus symbol. On this one, I'm going to hit button. And you'll notice I got this little box called nothing. And so I'm going to right click on it, and it brings this up for me. Let's change that label to page 1. And on the click, you'll notice I now have the commands or the procedures that I've put in. It gives me all of those options. So I'm going to click on first page. I want to make sure it's visible. I'm going to hit apply. And you'll notice at this point, if I click on it, oh, it changes it to my page. And so I can do the same. I'm going to add a button in here. Let's put my button there. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to call it page 2. On the click, I want to go to my second page, and I hit apply. So if I click on it, I can go to there. And so my users, anyone that's playing my game, is going to be able to use those buttons to move back and forth. If we think in terms of that video game, if you get to the end of a level, they always have some prize or chest or treasure that you get that you click on. That once you get it, it moves you on to the next level. That's how they're doing it. Those chests are buttons. And so by clicking on that treasure chest, it moves you to the next level. So that's how we're accomplishing that. I can call that anything I want. I could call that treasure. I could call it gold. I could, any label that I want to use, I'm capable of putting in. In fact, I can even put in an entire sentence if I wanted to, because I've got that procedure listed in my procedure pane. So we are now actually, and the other cool thing with it is if I right click on the turtle itself and I go to click, you notice I have the same commands. And so I can actually use an avatar or a character rather than the button as a button as well. So for example, I was thinking about the movie Jumanji, where there's the guide at the beginning, and the guide, basically you click on the guide in the movie Jumanji and then send the characters off into the adventure. You could do the exact same type of thing here. So I'm going to cancel that. And that basically brings me to the navigation between my stories. It reminds us that we don't want to ignore our debugging tools, that if we get lines of command that come up that say we don't like that, don't ignore that, figure out how it's done. And then finally, it reminds us this is not an autosave. I've got my red dot. I want to save. And we're going to see how my Wi-Fi does. Hopefully, I'm signed into my project. Sometimes the shortcuts that I take don't always let me log in properly. So we're going to find out here in a second whether that's the case. Obviously, the big thing here is I'm wanting to save the procedure or the commands that I have. It did like the save, so I'm good. I'm ready to move on to my next page. So the next page is just kind of talking about some of the different features. You'll notice the first one is how would you create an animation page? You'll notice if I go to my animation pages, I like my dolphin here because it has a lot of different movements. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to add another turtle in here. And I'm going to put my turtle over here. And then I'm going to go set, actually, I think, what did they say I need to do there? Yeah, I'm going set shape and just go SH. And I'm going to use my bracket again. And on this one, I'm going to use these 5 dolphins, 40, 42, 43, 44, and 45. My other bracket in. Next command, there's my dolphin. And next command, I'm going to put in my move command that I have, my move, or I'm going to glide the 300. And my dolphin is floating away using all the different animations. So that's how I can create the animations by putting the 5 different icons together and having them all move at the same time. I can create that movement in that fashion. So that's one. Second one that you can also put in is you can add in any sound to any of your procedures. So again, if you wanted to have a do kind of sound or a honk or something like that, all you would do in this particular case, you go to your plus sign, you're going to go to your sound, and in this case, I would be putting in the WAV or the MP3 file. I don't have one on my computer right now, so we're just going to leave that alone. But that's where you would put that in, and it would have a file associated with it that we could then add within our procedures and that movement as well, as part of what my dolphin's doing. And then finally, how do I share my story? So I've got my story done. I'm happy with it. I've got multiple pages. I've got different levels. I've got characters saying different things, moving in different ways. I've got a great story here. How do I share it with everybody and let them know that they can now play my game? Well, that's my share button. So right up there, I'm going to go to my share button. I've got different options here. Link sharing is on. So in this particular case, I've got my link sharing on now, and I have a whole bunch of different ways of sharing the URL. My understanding is anyone that plays the game does not need a Lynx code. They only need, or a Lynx account. They only need this link in order to access it. I can post it on a Facebook page. I can tweet it out. I can email it directly to somebody, or I can copy the link. Normally, if I'm working with someone in particular, that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit copy link. I could jump over to my Gmail, paste it into the email, and then send it off to them. If I was posting this up onto my website, I would use this instead, where I'm going to embed it on the website, and I would copy this code here, and that's the one that would enable people to play it off of my website. So that's the easiest way to share it out, is through any of those features there. What if, however, I wanted to work with someone where 2 of us are working on it at the same time? There's one extra step involved with that one. And so to do that, what I actually need to do is I need to go back. I'm going to go back to that home page for Lynx Coding. I'm going to go to my projects, and then I'm going to click on there, but here I need to click on properties. And so I'm going to click on properties. You can see I've got my story there. But when I click on properties and I go down to the bottom, my private box is the default, and it's already checked in this case. So if I want to work in collaboration with somebody else, I have to uncheck that box and then save it, at which point I can now go to my share button, and if I copy this link and email it to my partner, they now have editing access to it as well. So if you're wanting to work together, just make sure that that private box is unchecked in the properties before you go and do so. And that really takes us to the end of our lessons. If you have any other questions, just a couple other features very quickly. Obviously, if you want to reach out to somebody else, Lynx Coding has a chat box as part of their domain as well. These folks are great. If you have any questions, you're not sure how to do something, you need someone to help you walk you through it, click on the chat box. They've got lots of questions in there. And really, that's the easiest way to contact them. You also have within written documents here, as well as some other features. If you go through some of these other features, you can see the different ways of using it as well. But really, that should enable you to be able to get started and working through your project. If there's something that you would like to see, please feel free to email me at robert.moore@ocsb.ca, and I would love to see what you're working on. Thank you very much, and that concludes our Lynx Coding projects. Bye.